Somehow, over the last few years, I have gotten to the point where I'm excited for what every interaction in the world has to teach me and how it can bring me closer to myself. Beyond just the need to be safe and understood by everyone, finding confidence has meant that I can invite the fullness of life to happen and feel amplified regardless of any outcome, but simply because I'm being present with my experience and I'm fully committing to the moment. These are some of the things that help me feel energetically attractive, radiant, and excited to share myself. Hello, my dear friends. Thank you so much for being here. So everyone exists within their own internal world with their own paradigms and rules. Something I really notice in wonderful people who I adore is that their internal world is clearly filled with so much beauty and optimism and daydreams. So my number one thing I'm going to share is make your internal landscape one that is wondrous and full of possibility and curiosity. So oftentimes the way that we approach ourselves and the way that we speak to ourselves is what comes up in conversation around other people. If we're constantly self-deprecating, that will show up in person like, oh yeah, I wish I was good enough to do that, or I wish that I looked like this, or yeah, I could never do that, versus being like, wow, that is so cool. I would love to try that one day, or that's something that I really want to learn, or wow, I love how uniquely beautiful that person is. It really reminds me to own my own unique beauty. There's such a big distinction, and so I really love the idea of making your inner world a beautiful place to exist, because it's where most of us are living, and it really does seep out. And spending time on your daydreams, thinking about the things that make you happy, reflecting on all that you have to be grateful for, living from a place of fullness, of look at all of this beauty and abundance that I exist within. There's so much more that I might be attracting. I'm not fully where I want to be yet, but every single day I'm aware of the gifts around me and I'm actively using them to get to where I want to go. This energy of trust is so magnetic, and you might embody it in a completely different way than the way I'm even saying it. I sometimes talk like a yoga teacher where I'm just like, using all these words, but it could look as simple as, let's figure this out. Let's get this done. Let's see how we can make this situation better for everyone involved, you know? Also being a little bit daydreamy. This is just a personal thing. That kind of coming of age main character who triggers this aliveness in the people around her. And sometimes this can look like inviting everyone to scream at the edge of a cliff. Like, do you guys want to scream with me? Do you guys want to howl with me? Inviting people into that same spacious excitement about life that you're in is such a beautiful thing. And it's an invitation. It's not like projecting this need to be super intentional and judging people if they have no idea what they're passionate about or what they want, but it's just coming from a real place of like, I want to get to know you deeply and vulnerably. So much of intimacy and understanding starts with vulnerability. So if you know yourself very deeply, that's obviously going to help in this process. Also allows all topics to be open for discussion. Doesn't mean you constantly have to be trauma dumping and diving deep, but it's really nice to meet someone who can go anywhere, who will be excited to talk about literally anything, and there's no sense of avoidance within them. When you can hold all of yourself in unconditional love and acceptance, it's really easy to reflect that to other people and also just be a far less judgmental person. The more that you accept yourself, the more you're going to accept others, and it's really nice to be around people who are completely open-minded. For me, that is kind of like an energy vampire thing to do, is to just spend your whole day shit-talking other people for particularly like external things, what they're wearing, what they look like, status, things that they cannot control. It's kind of unnecessary if you actually have no experience with that person. It's really none of our business what most people are up to. I like to say I try not to concern myself with the karma of others because it's just a waste of my time. Then it leaves space for me to think about all my beautiful daydreams that want to take root in my mind anyway. I'm going to loop a few things into one little category, but being humble, having reverence, and bringing offerings to every space that you go to. So knowing your gifts, being fully aware of your beauty and your magnetism inside and out. Some things that help me with this practice is being sensual and being in my body. Sometimes when I do feel my harsh inner critic coming up and I'm judging myself for how I might be acting, or I'm over analyzing myself, The first thing I'll do to step back into my unapologetic nature is to invite a single act of pleasure. So I'll take a deep breath. And the first thing is usually I drop into my senses. So I'll feel the wind on my skin. And I am a very sensual person, but we literally all are in these human bodies. And if you really sink your awareness into your senses, it's such a pleasurable experience. Even the way like fabric kind of rustles against your skin can feel so good. So inviting a single moment of pleasure for you to have a moment of delight with yourself. And then I like to activate one of my gifts. So maybe one of my gifts is like storytelling, and I'll share a story or a journal entry or a poem, because that's what my friends often do when we're together, is we'll just all have our little journals and sometimes we'll share stuff. So if I'm feeling a little shy, I'll just put myself out there in a way that does feel really comfortable. That's kind of a little side tangent, but being aware of your gifts, holding them with grace, feel the most fulfilled when I get to share my magic and my gifts with other people. And I'm so deeply grateful to be experiencing them. I'm so deeply grateful to have this relationship with myself and therefore the rest of the world. And that's where the reverence comes in, is just constantly being in awe of the moment, in awe of the earth, and bringing an offering into every space that you enter into. Maybe it's a bottle of wine, maybe it's a story, maybe it's a song, or it can just be a deep breath that you invite the room to come into. Whatever it is, just knowing that you have the opportunity to amplify a space even more. I just quickly wanted to take a moment to thank BetterHelp for sponsoring today's video. BetterHelp makes starting therapy easier and much less intimidating for a lot of people. They let you have therapy sessions as a phone call, a video chat, or even messaging, whatever's the most comfortable version of therapy for you. They can match you to one of over 30,000 therapists in their network based on your needs, preferences, and location, which gives you access to a wider range of expertise than may be available in your city. To get started, you fill out a questionnaire that will ask you questions about what challenges you're going through and what kind of therapist you'd like, and they'll match you with a therapist to help you, in most cases within 48 hours. And you can schedule therapy sessions at any time that's convenient for you. If you feel like your therapist isn't a great fit, you can switch therapists with a click of a button in your settings at no additional cost. Join over 4 million people who've used BetterHelp to start living a healthier, happier life. Click the link in my description or visit betterhelp.com/Hitomi. Clicking that link helps support this channel, but it also gets you 10% off your first month of BetterHelp, so you can connect with a therapist and see if it helps you take up unconditional space and feel more confident moving through the world. And a rule for me is anytime I'm thinking a compliment in my head is I say it out loud. You get really good at giving authentic compliments and seeing very unique things in people beyond just, oh, I like your outfit, or I like your shoes. It's like you articulate your feelings really, really well, or I love how much time that you spend thinking about the world. It seems like it's led to some really beautiful philosophies, and that really inspires me. You know, genuine as compliments, really letting other people shine and seeing how shiny and beautiful they are, and knowing that you are so worthy to be around them just as you are. Most things in life are not personal when people are judging you. If people don't like you, it's literally none of your business. People's opinion of you, unless you genuinely wronged someone, try to only accept reflections from people that you really, really respect, because that is trusted information. I used to take literally everything personal when I was really sad because I hated myself, so everything was proof as to why I should. Like some stranger judging me on the internet, or my sister being like, nice shoes, and just like looking at them in a weird way, I'd be like, oh, she hates my shoes, she hates my style, no one loves me, I'm not safe here in my family. And it literally wasn't the case. Or even the other day, I saw a neighbor that I used to live by, and she was like, oh, you gained weight. That was the first thing that she said to me after like a year. And I was like, oh yeah, I did, yeah, I guess so. And she was like, yeah, you were way too skinny before. And I was like, okay, cool, yeah, how are you? Those things maybe were meant to be a compliment, but both of them came off as a little bit rude in my mind. And in the past, I might have internalized that so much. On one hand, being like, oh, so I noticeably gained weight, or damn, was I like way too skinny in the past, and just over analyzing things. And in that moment, I really felt myself like, wow, it's really good to just see that as objective information. And a lot of people will just say the first thing that they think in their heads. Like my grandfather came up to me one time and was like, you have a lot of acne. I just like made some joke about it. A lot of those things are so external that they have nothing to do with your character. Also, people having a lot to say about your life could just be evidence that you are living so fully true to yourself and you are being so yourself that it is foreign and strange to other people. Make being yourself a revolution. That is how I feel online. Take up space as you are and know that every single time you do that, you are healing a part of yourself. You are healing the smallness that may have been brought down through your lineage. Like, it is a very important thing to know that you deserve to take up space on this earth just as you are. Give yourself time to arrive into a moment and be sensual and be in your body. And by sensual, I don't mean sexual. I don't mean that you have to be scantily clad. I mean using your senses as an anchor to the present, like just being aware of what the sunlight is doing in a room, how the temperature feels, like being in that spaciousness. It's a lot easier to do this when you're not full of walls and layers of protection against the world and you're letting yourself be touched by the world and interact with it. And once again, this helps you to be more engaging. We have the body language, we have the deep listening, the curiosity, the lack of judgment. All of this is going to make you a really fun person to be around. And it will also be fun for you to be within yourself. A decent amount of life experience has led me to this place. So constantly welcome that exposure therapy of rejection, of perception, of putting yourself out there. And it does get easier to have people not understand you and to be more confident. I have had a lot of random awkward exchanges, but you really take them less seriously over time when you realize that literally everyone is awkward and most people are judging themselves in their head. Even today, I went to a volunteer day. I was just sitting and having a conversation with my friend after we did all this cleaning. This uncle came up to me and my friend was like, "Oh, sorry, I was on the phone. I didn't mean to be rude being on the phone in the middle of like the space where everyone was. I just got an important call." And I was like, "Oh my God, I didn't even notice you on the phone. Like, no worries at all. I wasn't thinking anything about you being on the phone. I'm happy you took care of what you needed to, but definitely don't feel like we were bothered by it." But even this older gentleman who is in his 60s was in his own head. It's just really eye-opening in those moments, because that's something that I would do too, is be like, "Oh, let me not interrupt the space in any way." Like, so concerned with everyone else's experience and they're not even thinking about it. And that unconditional acceptance just feels so good. It extends to having body neutrality and food neutrality, is just knowing that nothing that you are could ever be wrong. The last thing I'm going to share is being open to receive, having this feeling that luck follows you around everywhere. You are randomly being gifted. Miracles are always finding you. Everything in your life aligns perfectly at the end of the day. It always makes sense. Having that mindset is so beautiful, and it lets people love you. I used to be the kind of person where people would offer the simplest things to me, like a cup of water, and I'd be like, "Oh no, I can get it myself. Don't worry. You don't have to get up." And they were like, "You're in my house. I'm just trying to give you some water. Like, let me love you." And the more that I say yes to people, the more that people want to offer me things, and it makes them feel good to give. Just like I feel good about giving. I love feeding my friends, and if they were to deny a meal from me, I would feel sad about it. Like, I genuinely just want to offer you this thing, or I want to help you organize your space. When people say no and they don't feel worthy of an offering, it like cuts off this cycle of reciprocation that could happen. Because when you get something for free, usually your next thought is like, "Oh, one, let me only take what I need, and two, I'm excited to give back to them and appreciate them in my own unique way." I have guy friends in my life for the first time, and they love helping me. I think men in general really love to feel useful and supportive. And I think we all do. Honestly, I think depression is a symptom of not feeling useful in the world. So give people the opportunity to help you and keep it in a reciprocal relationship. I feel like every single year I get more and more confident and more sure of myself. It makes me feel so alive and like I'm so excited to be here in all of my beauty and all of my muck, and it makes life so much more fun. So I think it could help other people out. If you have your own tips, leave them down below. Thank you so much for sharing this time and space with me, and I'll see you in a video soon. Bye-bye. Seriously though, thank you for watching. It means so much to me, and I'm so touched that you care what I have to say, and I'm so happy that I can be a little archetype in your world, and you can hear my little voice as a narrative in your head that hopefully returns you back to your authentic expression. But yeah, okay, bye.